Dota and League of Legends are the most representative multiplayer online battleground arena games in the world. Accounting for several dozen million players worldwide, this genre is the most appreciated and watched video game in history. Starting the 2nd of June, the market is changing. Blizzard's new blockbuster Heroes of the Storm releases this summer with the promise of changing the online scene yet again. Arguably less competitive than its peers, but following the cult of titles such as Diablo, StarCraft and Warcraft, Heroes is a serious contender for the title of Online Game of the Year. So far, it has appealed to more than 2 million players throughout the alpha and beta phases. For the viewers, do you plan on entering the Storm as well? Heroes of the Storm is a MOBA based on 5 vs 5 matches. You can choose between 7 game modes: Tutorial, Training, versus Artificial Intelligence, Quick Match, Hero League, Team League, and Custom Games. There is a free weekly rotation that features 5 to 7 heroes. The game itself contains 36 heroes, 37 with Joanna, who will debut at launch, divided into 4 categories: Warrior, Support, Specialist, and Assassin, whose role I'll detail further on the video. Comparing League of Legends or Dota with Heroes of the Storm is similar to comparing chess with checkers. But let's not think this is a derogatory comparison. Quite on the contrary, in today's fast-paced world, lots of players will end up choosing simplified immediate fun over the tactical intricate network of the first two. Also, it's important to mention that Heroes is not a basic game. The tactical component is less focused on the hit-and-run tactics of gold farming, and more on the team lane fights for the map objectives. In Heroes, killing an enemy doesn't mean you are starting a feeding cycle. For the one killed, dying is more of a few dozen seconds setback than fueling material for the opposite team's victory. Experience is shared and distributed across the team, rather than going to the individual players. This also means that your team levels up at the same pace, making it possible for heroes such as Abathur, which buff players and does not engage enemies directly, to exist. Having no items or locked abilities, apart from the ultimates, also helps turn the scales in favor of Blizzard's creation. Surely, MOBA purists were and are the first to throw it on the firing range with unfounded accusations such as Dota for babies and casual money sink. As unimportant as this can be, Blizzard needs to be aware it also has to cater to the professional scene if it wishes to further share the spoils of the MOBA market. The diversity of maps colluding with the talent tree system gives Heroes a balance of versatility and depth. Communication plays a huge part on a team's success. There is hardly a lost game early on and insta-winning team compositions. In fact, the ability to turn the game around makes Heroes of the Storm the most interesting MOBA I've ever played. Quoting Team Brawler, game director of Heroes, there is a big difference between casual and accessible. As a technical alpha player, I can easily claim Heroes of the Storm has a much better community than its peers. League of Legends, for example, has the worst fame possible for toxicity of players. I believe Blizzard has had a very important part in this. One must keep informed about the strict conduct policy the company enforces on its games, and it's mostly portrayed in World of Warcraft. Heroes of the Storm follows the same premise: be polite and decent, if not, we don't really want you here. Plus, it is fairly common to come into a game and partake in a friendly chat and be greeted with a warm hello. The mechanics of the game also help tackle this issue by not incorporating the concept of feeding and thus discouraging players from different levels of skill at bashing at each other. Maps in Heroes of the Storm are diverse and have several different objectives. Floating above the sands of Luxoria, the Sky Temple is a place of worship for Ka, the snake god. The temple is a large map where teams fight periodically to capture the ancient temples, defeat their guardians and use their power to destroy the enemy structure. The boss in this map stands in the middle, making it difficult for teams to capture it unless they have a distinct advantage. The Tomb of the Spider Queen is a remembrance of the regal cavernous Thunder Kingdom of Azshol-Nerub. Being the smallest battleground in the game, its lanes are close to each other, making it easier for players to crossplay. By killing the small spider minions, a player can claim gems that he must turn in to summon structure-pushing huge spider minions known as the Web Weavers. Once the magnificent gardens flourished and were known throughout the land. Yet, Queen Nightshade's descent into madness turned them into something sinister, and uncautious visitors have been known to disappear within its maze. The map has a day and night sequence. During the day, the game proceeds normally. At night, players must kill shamblers and aurors to gather seeds to be able to summon their own Garden Terror, a structure-pushing player-controlled aberration. Blackhearts, An evil undead pirate lord requires tribute in form of golden doubloons to aid a team in its endeavor. There are several ways in which you can gather the coins. Periodically, 2 treasure chests containing 5 doubloons each will appear at the center of the map. Both doubloon camps and mercenary camps awards coins for their defeat. And lastly, killing enemy heroes allows the player to take possession of their coins, hindering the enemy team directly. The Dragon Knight lies dormant at the core of the Dragonshire. He will help adventurers against their enemies, provided they can awake him from his rocky slumber. To do so, a team must capture the 2 obelisks at the central edges of the map, and then claim control of the dragon. This is one of the biggest maps in Heroes of the Storm, and the objective is strictly necessary for a team to win this match. The Haunted Mines are part of the Raven Court, and fall under the realm of the Raven Lord. This is a 2-lane battleground with an underground level. The special objective of this map is to capture skulls within the mine in order to empower the Grave Golem. Its level of power ranges from 0 to 100 and is shared between teams, directly hindering the ones who capture less skulls. Once the golem spawns, it does not decay, which means teams will have the strategical choice of pushing with their own aberration or defending against the enemy team's pusher. The Cursed Hollow is the remainder of the Raven Lord's domain. In this haunted forest, tributes will spawn periodically, which players must gather to curse the enemy team. The Raven Lord's curse happens after a team gathers 3 tributes, and it turns the opponent's structures into non-firing, easy-to-push combat points. There are 2 bosses in this battleground that can be defeated by the teams. Combining them with the curse can easily win a match in a few minutes. Appearing as a specific subtype of hero, specialists are the lane pushers of Heroes of the Storm. They pack a punch against structures and can become an extremely annoying presence on the battlefield by consistently ignoring teamfights to push lanes unopposed or instantly gaining minions by bribing them. Even though they are considered siege heroes, some have abilities that make them extremely powerful against enemy heroes, like Sylvanas' silence plus vulnerability attacks or Nazebo's zombie wall. Other specialists can make or break a match with their extreme mobility, like Zagara, while others can throw themselves in the heat of battle, since they award reduced experience to enemies, like Murky or the Lost Vikings. The squishy yet powerful assassin is the biggest threat within the Nexus. Primarily a bursty hero, the assassin often needs the escorts of supports and/or warrior heroes to move across the battlefield safely as they pick their fights strategically. Usually known for their hit-and-run tactics, assassins are generally the primary targets in team fights, which means they must excel at positioning to be able to proficiently become an all-around concern for the enemy team. Heroes such as Nova and Zeratul can efficiently cloak themselves to deal the killing blow, while Kerrigan and Illidan excel at relentlessly chasing their prey. Some others, like Jane and Kael'thas, prefer to stay at the back, raining frost and fire onto enemies. The tanks within the Nexus, warriors are high health, steady powerhouses that can take a punch to the face to bolster their team. A warrior's role is to throw himself onto the face of danger, posing enough threat to force the enemy team to focus on their figure, whilst they disrupt opponents with stuns and disables. Common talents include healing amplification, health regeneration and decreased disable duration. Some types of warriors focus on dealing damage to gain health, such as Sonya or Arthas, while others like Diablo and Shen make themselves notorious by almost never dying. Support heroes provide healing and utility to the team in exchange for a high damage rate. Their role is to buff, shield or heal the party, often having skills that help impair the enemy team, thus becoming the true unsung heroes of the battlefield. Whether it's keeping the warrior alive in a teamfight or inspiring the assassins to relentlessly pursue the enemy, support hold teams together. Be it in the passive healing or empowerment Brightwing and Tyrande pack, or the direct healing abilities of Uther and Malfurion, a support hero can easily make the difference between a victory or a loss in the Nexus. Easier to grasp but equally difficult to master, Heroes of the Storm has the potential to become as interesting and played as its competitors in the MOBA market, due to its less customization and bigger focus in teamwork. Heroes of the Storm does not necessarily aim to compete directly for the top spot in professional gaming. However, it has already proven more than capable of creating a very strong subgenre focused on the retention of more casual players. If you had a good time watching this video and want to support me in creating more World of Warcraft and Heroes of the Storm content in the future, subscribe to my channel and let's grow together. What are your best and worst Heroes of the Storm experiences? Let me know and let's discuss a bit in the comment section. See you guys next week! Thank you for watching!